Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. December is upon us, which means it's time for the November book wrap up. Now, if you were watching my shorts feed, I talked about most of these books as I finished them as part of my Bookvember challenge. But the book roundup is sacred here, it is necessary. So we will be rounding up these books. And the first book we will round up is A Crown of Swords by Robert Jordan. I love me some Wheel of Time. You know I do. I talked about it a lot this year. This was good. Lots of Matt, lots of Rand, very little Perrin, which I kind of don't like. But it also had very little Nineveh and Elaine, which is good. Because I don't really like Nineveh and Elaine a lot of the time. Then we have If You Go Down to the Woods by Seth C. Adams. Good little thriller. It it respected your time. Thank you, words. Super good for how short it is. Stakes were good. Characters were good. Some of the things the main character said out of pocket, which I said that in my review. But if you can get past some surprising slurs, I hate to say it like that, but they are just unquestionably slurs. Interesting little story. Then I read The Princess and the Scoundrel, a Star Wars romance book. It was an advertisement, but it was a well-written advertisement. It was actually like a very nice book, and the advertising part that I feared would be there was really only there for the first 50 pages or so, at least heavily, and then it kind of had its own life. Super good. We read Michael Crichton's The Lost World, the sequel to Jurassic Park. This was also the 100th book I finished this year. Crazy. This was good. This was fun. I haven't read the Jurassic Park, the book, in a couple years, so I can't tell you blow for blow what the quality is here, but this was good. It made me remember, like, wow, Michael Crichton actually is just fun to read. So good. Dinosaurs. You know me. I'm a sucker for a dinosaur. I'm a dino sucker. Then we have Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan LaFanu. Little, very LGBT coded vampire novel that actually came out before Dracula, I believe. And it has a lot of the trappings of what we now know as vampire fiction. And again, very short. Very short. I don't even think this was... Yeah, this is like barely over 80 pages, if that. It might be, yeah, it's 80 on the dot. But I will say, this was definitely an old book. It felt like an old book. It was a slog. But if you're interested in vampire literature and you somehow have not checked out Carmilla, please do. You deserve it. It is very fascinating, if only for the history. Then we have The Woman in the Window by A.J. Flynn. This was a very cool thriller. I liked this. I had no idea where this was going at almost any time. Every time I thought to myself, oh, this is happening, I was wrong. And I like that when a book does that because I read a lot of books. And I'd like to say I'm pretty good at guessing what a twist is going to be because I read a lot of books. But this did not have that. And also, as I wouldn't say that I'm agoraphobic, but I don't like to leave my house. So the main character spoke to me in that sense. Then we have Legend of Ardmere Castle by Sianen Lay. This was a little, very small book. I got, 32 pages from a craft fair, I guess you'd call it. Support your self-published stuff. Support your people. It was fine, honestly. It was 32 pages, so I can't really say anything about it. There's not really enough of things to say, and I think it was kind of targeted towards people younger than me, but local authors are cool. We've been over this. Then we have The Price of Glory, a Battletech book. This was the third in a trilogy. Battletech The problem with BattleTech is if you've read one BattleTech book, I can almost promise you've read every BattleTech book. They're all the same. You can only read about giant robots shooting each other so often, which is a crazy thing I never thought I'd say. And I felt that one was particularly weak compared to the first two in the trilogy, so don't even worry about it. Don't read it. You're wasting your time. Then we have The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas. This was so fun. I freaking love this book so much. This is one of those things where, like, if I was an insane person and I actually had drive, I would be like, I'm going to learn French and read this in the native language because this was so good. Like, oh my god, this was so good. This actually put me in, like, a tiny bit of a slump afterwards, which is a weird thing to say, considering I read 21 books this month. But, like, this was just so fun. I love the way Dumas writes. This does not feel like a book from 1844. It's very modern. It's very fun. It's very punchy. I love all the characters. I love D'Artagnan, especially. It's just a blast. If you have not read The Three Musketeers and you have even a passing interest in classics, or even if you don't, if you just like a good action swashbuckling, I guess, story with four bros being dudes, heck yeah, this was so fun. Such a dude book. A book for dudes. And then a book that is for no one, because it was really bad, was Carnosaur by Harry Adam Knight. We were just talking earlier, I love my dinos. I'm a dino fanatic. So when I tell you that this is the lowest rated book I've read this year, I gave this a 0.5, not even a single star. Oh, brother, this was miserable. This was so bad, and I can't even really articulate why. I think it's just because, like, yeah, there's a mystery. Like, ooh, is the main character going to figure out that it's dinosaurs? Because we as the reader know it's dinosaurs, because look at this cover, read that title. It drags, and it feels, what's the word? Raunchy's not quite right, but it feels snuff. Thank you, brain. It feels like snuff. Like, there's a lot of pointless sex, and I mean, I wouldn't say the violence is pointless because it's a fucking dinosaur, but it's such a disappointment. Then, something that was not a disappointment was The Summer Book by Tove Jansson, my girl, my goat, the queen. If you've never read a Tove Jansson book that's not Moomin, please do read this. You owe it to her. You owe it to yourself. This is such a sweet, calming, relaxing little book that really did make me think of summer and hanging out with a grandparent, even though it was November. We love Tove Jansson. We love Tove Jansson. And then, in between that, I was slowly reading Diavola by Jennifer Thorne. Let me tell you, that book went on for 100 more pages than it needed to. Like, oh my god, there was a perfect point in that book, a perfect point where it could have ended, and I would have been like, that was a really good, competent haunted house story. It did not end at that point. It kept going. I understand why it kept going. I understand what she was trying to do and the story she was trying to tell. I did not like it, though. So, it was a fine book. I mean, it was competent. It was well written. I wasn't bored. I finished it, and I didn't finish it begrudgingly, but I was definitely like, wow, could you have not stopped there? That would have been perfect, and I would have been super happy with that. Anyway, then we have Carrie Vaughn's Kitty and the Midnight Hour, the first book in the Kitty series, a urban fantasy about a werewolf who is a DJ who, I guess, is not accidentally, but she's kind of blowing the whistle on the fact that werewolves and vampires real, whatever. It was fine. Urban fantasy that isn't written by Jim Butcher is a coin toss. And this landed somehow on the side of the coin. It was not bad, but it did not make me think, ooh, I cannot wait to read the next one and see what happens to Kitty Norville next, because she is such a lovable character. No. Also, there was a very weird, like, almost offhanded mention of the fact that in this universe, werewolf SA is just like common. Like the pack leader can just SA any werewolf he wants at any time, and that's just kind of like brushed off as a fact. I don't know. It's not handled very well, and there's really no like way to talk about this book without talking about that absolute slap in the face of a plot point. Kitty. And then we read something that was so good, so exciting. I loved this book to death. The Lies of Locke Lamore by Scott Lynch. This was so fun. I love Locke. He's such a good character. I loved every character in this book, honestly. Like, everybody was so fun. I love a good heist. I love a good fantasy heist. The Six of Crows duology slaps, and I would almost argue that this is better in a way just because I thought Locke and Jean, were much more fun. Especially Jean. Jean's cool. There's something about a dude who fights with two axes that is just cool. But Locke is a cool character, even if somehow he is so stupid and so smart all at the same time. This was a blast, though. If you have not read this, you treat yourself, bro. Treat yourself. Then I read Batman Resurrection by John Jackson Miller. This was fun. It's a sequel to the Tim Burton Batman film from the 80s. So, interesting. The main Batman villain in this is Clayface. Cool. I like Clayface. And it's what you expect. He is, disgraced actor. And after the events of the movie, there's still the crazy drug, the crazy laced cosmetics, that the Joker creates in the film. And for some reason, when Basil Karlo uses these cosmetics, instead of killing him or making him smile like a crazy person like it does normal people, it turns him into Clayface. Cool. It's just fun. I like the way Batman is written. I like the way Bruce Wayne is written because, yes, they are separate characters. If you like the 80s Tim Burton Batman movie, definitely a read. It's so fun. So fun. And he's actually like a detective, which isn't really the case for the film, but love when Batman's a detective first. And then we read Grimvale Tales, a short story collection by Sienna Lay, the same woman I was talking about earlier. Here's my problem with short story collections. Usually, their quality varies horribly. Sometimes you will read a short story in a short story collection that you think, wow, that was really cool. I like those characters. Wouldn't it be cool if they had their own book or I got to see more of them? And then the very next short story you will read will be the most boring, like eye-pulling, hair-ripping, I want these 20 pages to end experience of your life. And that's exactly what this book was. Brutal. Then we had the Dechronization of Sam Magruder by George Gaylord Simpson. Great piece of time travel, great piece of dinosaur fiction that is wholly distinct from both Carnosaur and The Lost World in the sense that, like, the dinosaurs are not really a threat in the sense, like, the dinosaur is not the villain, obviously. Time is the villain, which is a crazy thing to say, but, like, Sam Magruder gets sent back in time, so of course there's going to be dinosaurs. And yeah, that's kind of just how it's treated. Like, oh yeah, there's dinosaurs here. But this is so good. For being like 120 odd pages or something, probably not even that. It's probably more like 102. This is such a blast, such a great piece of science fiction. Could not recommend it enough. Amazing. Amazing. Then we had Hiromi Kawakami. Yes. Hiromi Kawakami's The Nakano Thrift Shop. This is the first of those little, like, cute, cozy Japanese books I've ever read, and let me tell you, this did not feel very cute or very cozy. This just felt like a really annoying love story between two people that, despite being in adulthood, just cannot and refuse to communicate with each other, and everything else that happened around it, I immediately forgot because I was too busy raging about the two people that would not just talk to each other. Why is that such a thing in romance novels? Like, just communicate, people. You have a mouth, you have a language. I hate it. Speaking of a language, we have Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian. This book destroyed me. It turned my brain into soup. This was one of the most difficult books I have ever read. I have never before had to sit down and like put a book to the side and be like, give me a second. Because the things that are talked about in this book and the way that they are described, while being beautiful and amazing prose, Cormac McCarthy is a beautiful, beautiful author, but the way violence and bloodshed and terror and horrible things are just talked about as fact, and just like, yeah, these things happened, and everybody who was here was really happy that those things happened. Wasn't that cool? Like, no. Super fun. I demand you read this too, because this is such a great piece. If you're tired of Wild West fiction being like, man, being a cowboy is so cool. No, being a cowboy is not cool. Being a cowboy is depressing. Jeez. Then, not depressing, we've got Comet in Moomitland by Tove Jansson. The detox I needed after Blood Meridian. I love a good Moomin story. We've already talked about how great Tove Jansson is. And as always with a Tove Jansson, the illustrations in this book are freaking gorgeous. Like, just look at this. She's so good. I love it. This is also the first Moomin book that introduces pretty much every Moomin character that matters, even Little Mai, even though I don't think she's actually called Little Mai yet in this. But Snufkin's here. Freaking Sniff's here, even though Sniff is in Flood, but I don't really like how Sniff is portrayed in Flood. Also, what's her name? I can't think of her name now. Oh my gosh. I'm so bad at this. Snork Maiden. Thank you. Snork Maiden's here. Our girl Snork Maiden's here. And it's very funny to just see Moomin Troll go immediately from like, girls are stinky and I would never fall in love with a girl. I'm too busy having a cool adventure. To the second Snork Maiden is here, for him being like, Snork Maiden, you wanna fuck? Like, he has no chill. It's so funny. And then the last book I read this month, which was not funny, was Notes from the Underground by my boy, our boy, everyone's favorite manic depressive, Dostoevsky. This was, I mean, I liked this. I read this in a day. I really like the Underground Man as a character, which is kind of a wild thing to say, but I think everybody has an Underground Man in them, because everybody thinks too much. But damn, does the Underground Man think too much, too much. He never stops thinking to his own detriment. And he second guesses everything that every human being says to him. He's just like me, for real, for real. This went on longer than I was expecting. I apologize. As I prefaced, I'm a yapper. But December is here. We're going to read a little. We're hopefully not going to go that hard. I told myself that there were 10 books I wanted to finish before the year was over. I read 8 of them in November. I have 2 left, Song of Achilles and Red Rising. I'm in the middle of Song of Achilles now. So after that, those 2 books, it's free game. It's free range. I can read literally anything or nothing. But as always, people, stay beautiful, stay literate, keep reading. Love ya.